Okay, we're going to try out some past paper questions. You should have a pen and a piece of paper in front of you, or you could download the questions that I'll talk about today from the link in the description below. After I introduce each question, I will give you a prompt to pause, and then you should pause and try to answer the question yourself. Now, I highly recommend that you are handwriting this onto paper, because that's the experience that you'll have during the IB exam unless you have an accommodation. And another reason for writing by hand is that neuroscience tells us that that process of handwriting helps us to form neural connections that will help you memorize and understand and connect what it is you're learning, what it is you're writing about. So handwriting and listening, and let's approach the first question.
I think this is a great question for revision for an IB exam because it looks complicated at first, but if you just take a big breath and break down what you do know about it. Think about these three equations as just being images, and to start with, just look and see what is different about the three of them. Pause the video now and see if you can spot it. Okay, so as soon as you understand that sustainable yield is about productivity, about how much has been produced in a certain time period, so how much can we harvest in that time period, you see that it has to be an equation that is related to time. And so in this one, the only thing in this one here, the only thing that is different is you've got time plus 1 minus time at time t. In this one, it's time minus time. Everything else is exactly the same, so we don't need to pay attention to it because they're identical. And this one is time plus time. Well, if I want to know how much yield, I'll need to know something about the biomass and the energy at time plus 1 in the future minus time t. And that's our very simple equation that I showed you in the previous video. So the answer is this one. It says the underline. Okay, let's try another one. Identify the correct equation here. Hit pause and give it a go. Okay, so again, we're going to look through what is different about them. We don't need to pay attention to anything except for the parts that are different. So this is time plus 1 minus time plus 1. Time minus time plus 1. Time plus 1 plus time plus 1. Time plus 1 minus time. Time plus time plus 1. And so the one we're looking for is time plus 1, so this is in the future, minus time. So the amount of energy we have in the future minus the amount of energy we have now tells us the net productivity, and from our net productivity we know that that is the maximum sustainable yield.